So, very good morning, one and all. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I welcome you all for this orientation session on national innovation and startup policy. I first of all want to just elaborate the various activities which we have conducting at YCC. Like we have taking lot of initiatives towards the development of innovation culture in YCC. So basically, it is the development of innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem within the YCC. So likewise, we know that government taking lot of initiatives in view of promotion of innovations, promotion of startups, promotion of patents. So likewise, government want to increase the innovation rank of the country. So I think you all know the current rank is 46. Okay, worldwide innovation rank is 46, and before 5 years, this rank is 57. So day by day, we are improvising our rank in the domain of innovation. So likewise, government is come with a structured methodology, and for that they have prepare and launch the policy. It is called as the National Innovation and Startup Policy (NISP). Now, to make aware to the student and the faculty, we have organized this orientation program. So basically, you can download that policy from the MIC website. It is the website of Ministry of Education. That innovation cell, MHRD innovation cell website, and in the download section you can find that there is a document NISP is provided. Now it is a faculty centric benefits. It contains of student centric benefits, and by considering this all part, what kind of benefits are there, why we want to need to focus, and what is the importance of innovation and entrepreneurship at the education level. So this will be the prime objective of this today's orientation session. So we are having Dr. Shilpa Sahare madam from Department of Mechanical Engineering. She is having a vast experience in the education domain, and also just completed his PhD work in the domain of manufacturing engineering. Also having experience of more than 12 years teaching experience. So I welcome you, madam, for this orientation session. Dr. Shilpa is going to elaborate us about the national innovation and startup policy through this orientation session. So I request Dr. Shilpa madam to please, uh, uh, it is over to you, Shilpa madam.
Yes. Good morning, dear all. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, madam, you are audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Kirkar, sir, for the brief introduction about my activity and regarding the orientation session I am going to conduct today. Dear students, in today's session, we are going to discuss students and faculties. Yes, we have students as well as faculty members also. So, for everyone, today I'm here to give you a brief about the policies which are framed by the Ministry of Human Resources regarding the entrepreneurship, regarding the innovations, and regarding the kind of startups and the policies which are framed for the students, the faculties, and these policies are crystal clear to everyone. When I present my screen, you will find the important statements. I am not going to take your much of time here. I am presenting only 10 important points and 10 important points given by the Ministry of Human Resource and Development, and these policies are named as National Innovations and Startup Policies. Okay, so we all are doing innovations in our fields. We all are very interested in the startups, and nowadays there is a boom of startups. Nowadays there is a boom of getting the fundings from the various agencies for enhancing our startups. But for the students and staff, there are some points which we actually don't know. We are not aware about what kind of facilities we can have in our institute level, in our institute itself, that even if being as a student of this institute, how can I avail these facilities from the institute? How can I get the fund from the institute or from the various agencies? What kind of facilities are there for me being as a student or as a faculty? So these are standard rules, I can say, formed by the Ministry of Human Resource and Development. And these policies, as sir has said, Dr. Sandeep Khedkar sir has already told you that these policies, these points are very clearly given on the website of MIC. You can download it. I know many of you are having a doubt in your mind that yes, we are a student and we want to pursue or we want to develop some product, but what about my academics? What about my credits? What kind of a compensation I can get if I do my innovation if I want to do some work in the innovation cell, or if I work as a team member in the startups, then what kind of facilities I can have? So for that purpose, I am here to give you a brief about these policies. So I hope I'm clear, and thank you so much, sir, for giving me this opportunity to speak on these policies. So once again, I'm very thankful to my head of the department, Dr. JP Giri sir, for giving me this opportunity to speak on this topic. I am thankful to Dr. Sandeep Khedkar sir, and I'm also very much thankful to Dr. UP Wage, the principal of the institute, for allowing me to speak on this topic. So thank you. And here now I am presenting my screen so that it can be visible to everyone. Is my screen is visible to everyone? Can
No,
someone
ma'am.
reply, please? Okay, thank you. So, as sir said, we are now here for the orientation session. I am delivering an orientation session on the National Innovation and Startup Policies. I am Professor Shilpa Kamble from the Department of Mechanical Engineering, having an experience of more than 15 years in the teaching field, and I'm having a responsibility on my shoulder to speak on these policies, NISP. We know that Ministry of Human Resource and Development has given us some guidelines, and these guidelines are formulated in terms of the policies, and these policies are known as National Innovation and Startup Policies, and these are formed for students and faculties. So the very first point given in
Sorry
the...
to interrupt, ma'am. Your screen is not visible. Means what you are sharing it is not visible.
Just a minute. Just a minute. Is this visible now?
Yes.
Yes. So I was discussing about the first point, that is strategies and governance. Under this session, under this point, strategies and governance, we need to think about that what kind of strategies has government has given. So to facilitate the development of the entrepreneur ecosystem in the organization, any organization, the specific objectives and associated performance indicators should be defined. Okay, let me just do it on a full screen. Is it okay now to everyone?
Yes, madam, it is perfect now.
So implementation of the entrepreneur vision at the institute should be achieved through mission statements. We know that for every institute, we have a mission, we have a vision. So according to the mission statements, we need to work on rather than the control system. The entrepreneur agenda should be the responsibility of a senior person at the level of dean, director, equivalent position to bring the required commitment and must be well understood by the higher authorities. It is said that around 1% of the fund of the total annual budget should be should be given as a fund for the innovation work. The strategies should also involve raising the funds from the diverse sources to reduce dependency on the public funding, bringing in external funding from the government, as many of us are doing, are submitting the proposals to various agencies for getting a fund like DST, MHRD, AICT, CSIR, Startup India, then Invest India, MSME, etc. And also we are giving some proposals to non-government sources also. So the institute may also raise the fundings through sponsorships. It can also raise the fund through donations. Institute should actively engage the alumni network for promoting the innovation and entrepreneurship. The importance of innovation and entrepreneur agenda should be known across the institute and should be promoted and highlighted at institutional programs such as conferences, convocations, workshops, etc. Product to market strategy for startups should be developed by the institute on case-to-case basis. Development of entrepreneur culture should not be limited within the boundaries of the institution. Institute should also be the driving force in developing this entrepreneurship culture in its vicinity. And this should include giving opportunity for regional startup, provision to extend facilities for outsiders, and the active involvement of the institute in defining the strategies direct for the local development. Now, these were the strategies which are given for the institute, that what kind of expectations are there from the institute for enhancing the facilities in the campus itself for entrepreneurship development. Now, the second important point is the startups enabling institutional infrastructure. So, you all are well aware that in our institute YCC also, we have the Innovation and Incubation Center available at administrative block. So incubation and innovation need to be organically interlinked. Without innovation, new enterprises are unlikely to succeed. The goal of the effort should be to link the innovation to the enterprises to the financial success. All institutes are advised to create the facilities within their institutions. Like our YCC, we already have the facility, but many of us are not aware with the kind of work we are carried out in the innovation cells. So it is advised to create the facilities within the institute for supporting pre-incubation. Like we can have the innovation cell, we can have the startup cell, we can also have the students clubs, etc. So this pre-incubation facilities should be accessible 24/7 to the students, so that student can work, the staff can work 24/7 in such centers for all disciplines and all departments of the institution. It should not be restricted to any particular department. All department students and staff can work 24/7 on their ideas on in such incubation centers. So incubation facilities may or may not be separately registered entity or a special purpose vehicle, but we recommend that. That means NISP, according to the NISP, they recommend us to have the incubation cum technology commercialization unit. And it should be a separate entity, preferably registered under the Section 8 of the Company Act 2030, or we can have a society registered under the Society Registration Act with independent governance structure. Now, this will allow more freedom to the incubators in decision making, with less administrative hassles for executing the programs related to innovations, IPR, and startups. Moreover, they will have the better accountability towards the investors supporting the incubation facilities. The institute may offer the mentoring and other relevant services through pre-incubation or incubation units in returns of the fees equity sharing, and zero payment basis. The modality regarding the equity sharing in startup supported through these units will depend upon the nature of services offered by these units. That means if we are working on any of the idea and we are taking a fund from the institute must have the equity in your business. This is the significance of this point. Now, the third important point is nurturing innovation and startups. So for nurturing the innovations or for the startup, for initiating any of the startups, what kind of points, what kind of guidelines are given by Ministry of Human Resource? I am focusing on those points. So institutes are expected to establish the processes and mechanism for easy creation and nurturing of startups, enterprises by the students, staff. Students can have, that means students of UG, they can be a students of PhD or can be a research scholars. Staff which are working on as a temporary basis or they are working on a project staff on particular project, the faculties, alumni, and the potential startups, applicant even from outside of the institutes. While defining their processes, the institution will ensure to achieve the following. First of all, the first point is incubation support. This offers the SS2 pre-incubation and incubation facility to startups by the students, staff, and faculty for mutually acceptable time frame. Now, there are certain queries from the staff or from the students when they actually want to start their setups or start their startups. So, in case suppose the institute doesn't have a dedicated faculty, or if it doesn't have the infrastructure of its own, then it may reach out to nearest incubation facilities in other institutes in order to facilitate access to their students, staff, and facility. So incubation support must be there in every institute. If you are not having such kind of cells, then we can promote our staff and the students to carry out this work in the nearby incubation centers in other institutes also. Licensing of IPR from the institute to startup. Second point. So ideally, students and faculty members intending to initiate a startup based on the technology developed or co-developed by them or the technology owned by the institute should be allowed to take a license on a said technology on easy terms, either in terms of equity in the venture or license fees or royalty to obviate the early stage financial burden. Next is allow setting up startups and working part-time for the startups while studying or working. This is very important point. When students wants to work on any of the project under incubation center, under innovative project, they may have a burden of their academics, their studies, their credits. So there are certain guidelines and points given for students and staffs. So institute may allow such students or staff to work on the innovative projects and setting up the startups or the work as an intern or a part-time in the startups while studying or working. So even if you are a studying student or even if you are a working faculty, you can work in any of the startups. So students, entrepreneurs may earn the credits for working on innovative prototypes, business models. Institute may need to develop clear guidelines to formalize this mechanism. That means students can have their own credits by working on these projects. Students inventors may also be allowed to opt for the startups in place of their mini project, major projects, seminars, summer trainings. So based in place of these things, they can even work for the startups. There is a special points given for the students that the area in which the students wants to initiate the startups may be interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, However, the students must describe how they will separate and clearly distinguish their ongoing research activities as a student from the work being conducted at the startup. So students who are under incubations are pursuing some entrepreneurial ventures while studying should be allowed to use their address in the institute. Suppose you are a student of YCC and you are conducting some activity, or you are working on some innovative project, and you are working in an incubation center at YCC. So you can use the address of YCC for registering your company or for getting some permission from the government. So this is one of the benefit. Even if you are working in any of the innovative project, you will get the credits for that. You can skip your mini project and you can work on such projects also. Okay. So students and entrepreneurs should be allowed to sit for examination even if their attendance is less. Now, many of you are worried for the attendance. Suppose I am working in an innovation cell. I am working in an incubation center. I am working on some of the projects. I miss my lectures. I don't have a problem. The attendance, and I have attendance less than 75%. Then what should I do? Every time students are focused on the attendance. So even if your attendance is less, and if you are working in such on such projects in the innovation center, incubation center, then it will be allowed you to give the permissions. Okay. So institute should allow their students to take the semester or a year break. You can even have a semester or a year break to work on their startups and rejoin academics to complete the course. So this is very good point again given. Then students entrepreneurs may earn the academic credits for their efforts while creating an enterprise. Institute should set up a review committee for review of the startups by the students, and based on the progress made, it may consider giving appropriate credits for academics. The institute should explore the provision of accommodation of the entrepreneur within the campus for some period of time. Suppose there are some students of YCC and they are not living in Nagpur, they are outside, or they are outsiders and they are working on any of the entrepreneurial activity at YCC. Then institute should provide some. That means they should give us some accommodation facilities for some period of time within the campus. Now, allow the faculty and staff to take a leave off for the semester or even more, and that can be given as a sabbatical or unpaid leaves, casual leaves, earned leaves for working on startups and come back. Okay. So institutions should consider allowing use of its resources to the faculty, students, staff wishing to establish the startups as a full-time effort. The seniority and the other academic benefits during such period may be preserved for such staff or faculties. Start a part-time, full-time MS, MBA, PGDM, innovations, entrepreneurship, and venture development programs where one can go get degree while incubating and nurturing a startup company. AICTE has already given some clear guidelines under this section. So institute will facilitate the startup activities, technologies development by allowing the students, faculty, and staff to use the institute infrastructure and facilities as per the choice of potential entrepreneur in the following manner. Now, what kind of facilities the institute should give to their faculties and students? So they can give short-term or 6-month or one year part-time entrepreneurship training, mentorship support on a regular basis, facilitation in the variety of areas including technology development, idealization, creativity, design thinking, fundraising, financial management, cash flow management, new venture planning, business development, product development, and so on. So while working on any of the startups, if there are faculties or students who are working on that, then they can have means even a staff can send for the sabbatical trainings based on their work. So institute may also link the startups to other seed fund providers, venture funds, or itself maybe set up seed fund once the incubation activity matures. License Institute IPR. In returns of the services and facilities, Institute may take 2% to 9.5% of equity stake in the startups company based on the brand used, faculty contribution, support provided, and the use of Institute's IPR. So this is a range given as a generalized from 2 to 5%, 2 to 9.5%. That is, it can vary from 2% to 9.5%. If you are having any kind of, if you are having a startup, you want to have that startup as a business. So if you are taking a fund from the institute, definitely they'll ask for the equity. So based on your work, according to the policies given by Ministry of Human Resource and Development, they are saying that 2% to 9.5% of equity can be allowed. For our institute at YCC, we have a fixed policy that if you are working on such startups, you want to nurture your startups, then 5% of equity will be taken by the institute. Okay, so the institute should normally take such much lower equity shares unless it's a full-time faculty or a staff have substantial shares. Other factors for consideration should be space, infrastructure, mentorship support, seed fund support for account, legal patents, etc. For the staff and faculty, institute can take no more than 20% of shares that staff faculty takes while drawing full salary from the institution. However, this share will be within the 9.5% cap of the company shares listed above. Okay, I hope the points which I am discussing are clear. Clear to everyone? Yes. So no restrictions on shares that faculty staff can take as long as they do not spend more than 20% of the office time on the startups in advisory or consultative role, and do not compromise with their existing academic and administrative work duties. In case the faculty staff holds the executive or managerial post for more than 3 months in the startups, then they will go on sabbatical leave without pay or earned leaves. Leave without pay can be given, or they can go for this type of trainings also. In case of the compulsory equity model, startup may be given a cooling period of 3 months to use incubation services on rental basis to take a final decision based on satisfaction of the services offered by the institute incubators. In that case, during the cooling period, institute cannot force the startup to issue equity on the first day of granting incubation support. The institute should also provide services based on a mixture of equity, fee-based, and zero payment models. So, a startup may choose to avail only the support, not seed funding by the institute on rental basis. Institute could extend this startup facility to alumni of the institute as well as to the outsiders. Participation in startups related to the activities need to be considered as a legitimate activity of the faculty in addition to teaching, R&D projects, industrial consultancy, and management duties, and must be considered while evaluating an annual performance of the faculty. So every faculty may be encouraged to mentor at least one startup. This is the special point given for the faculties and the facilities provided to the faculties. Okay, so the product development and commercialization as well as participating and nurturing of the startups would now be added as a bucket of faculty duties. And each faculty would choose a mix and match of these activities. And then respective faculties are evaluated accordingly for their performance and promotions. So institutions might also need to update, change, revise performance evaluation policies for the faculties and staff as stated above. So the next important point under the policies of NISP is product ownership rights for technologies development at institute. When institute facilitate funds, when institute facilities or funds are used substantially, or when IPR is developed as a part of curriculum, academic activities, the IPR is to be jointly owned by the investors and the institute. So investors and institute could together license the product, IPR to any commercial organization, with inventors having the primary say. License fee should be either or a mix of. It can be a mix of upfront fees or one-time technology transfer fees. It can be a mix of royalty as a percentage of sale price. Also, it can be a shares in the company licensing that product. So an institute may not be allowed to hold the equity as per the current statute. Or so SPV may be requested to hold the equity on their behalf. So if one or more of the inventors wish to incubate the company and license the product to this company, the royalties would be no more than 4% of the sale price, preferably 1 to 2%, unless it is pure software product, or if it is a shares in the company, shares will again be 1% to 4%. Okay, for pure software product licensing, there may be a revenue sharing to the revenue sharing to be mutually decided between the institute and the incubated company. On the other hand, if the product is developed by inventors only, not using any institutional facilities or outside office hours, or not as a part of curriculum by the students, then the product or the IPR will be entirely owned by the investors in proportions to the contribution made by them. So there is no role of any institute there if they are working independently without using the facilities, even they are a student of that institute or a faculty. So in this case, the inventors can decide to license the technology to third parties or use the technology the way they deem fit. If there is a dispute in ownership, a minimum 5-membered committee consisting of 2 faculty members, 2 of the institute's alumni, and 1 legal advisor with the experience of IPR will examine the issue after meeting the inventors and help them settle this, hopefully to everybody's satisfactions. So institute can use alumni facility. Institute can use alumni or faculty of other institutes also as a member if they cannot find sufficiently experienced alumni or faculty of their own. Institute, IPR cell, or incubation centers will only be a coordinators and facilitators for providing services to faculty, staff, and students. They will have no say on how the invention is carried out, how it is patented, or how it is to be licensed. If institute is to pay for patent filing, They can have a committee which can examine whether the IPR is worth patenting. Suppose I want to patent something, there will be definitely a committee at YCC who will judge that whether my product is patentable or not. So these are the guidelines. According to the guidelines, we are following these rules. Nobody is straightforward allowed to file their patent by their own using a institute facilities. So there must be a specific committee who will examine this your product before filing the patent. So the committee should consist of a faculty who have an experience and excelled in the technology translation. If inventors are using their own funds or non-institutes funds, then they alone should have say in patenting. So all institutes decision-making body with respect to incubation, IPR, technology licensing will consist of faculty and experts who are excelled in technology translations. Other faculty in the department institute will have no say, including heads of the departments, head of the institutes, deans, or registrars. So interdisciplinary research and publications on the startups and entrepreneurship should be promoted by the institutions. The next important point is organizational capacity, human resources, and incentives. So there are some guiding points given for the institutes regarding this organizational capacity, the resources and incentives, and few points given for the benefits of the staff and students. So students should recruit staff that have a strong innovation and entrepreneurial industrial experience, behavior, and attitude. Some of the relevant faculty members with the prior exposure and interest should be deputed for training to promote the innovations. To achieve the better engagement of the staff in entrepreneurial activities, institutional policy on career development of staff should be developed with consent upskilling. So faculty and departments of the institutes have to work in coherence, and cross-departmental linkages should be strengthened through shared faculty, cross-faculty teaching, and research in order to gain the maximum utilization of internal resources and knowledge. So periodically, some external subject matters experts such as guest lecturer or alumni can be engaged for strategic advice and bringing in skills which are not available internally. We can have, being as a faculty in the mechanical engineering department, we can have continuously we can have a session of an alumni who are working in outside of the India and what kind of work is carried out there, and they will engage a guest lecturer in a department so that the current students may get aware with what kind of work is carried out outside and what kind of skills are required to acquire such work when they complete their degrees. So it is a very good platform. Faculty and staff should be encouraged to do courses on innovations, entrepreneurship management, and venture development. In order to attract and retain the right people, the institute should develop academic and non-academic incentives and reward mechanism for all the staff and stakeholders, and actively contribute and support the entrepreneurship agenda and activities. So the reward always liked by the person, sabhi ko, that every person would definitely get fascinated with the reward kind of mechanism. So the institutes are guided. Institutes are now giving reward to such people who are getting their patent filed, or if patent is granted to some faculty, to some students, they will definitely reward these peoples for their work. Now, the reward system for the staff may include sabbaticals, office, and job space for entrepreneurial activities, reduced teaching loads, award trainings, etc. The recognition of the stakeholders means, again, it includes the students, pass out students, that is alumni, parents, and the current student. So stakeholders may include offering use of the facilities and services, strategy for shared risk as a guest teacher, fellowship, etc. A performance metric should be developed and used for evaluation of annual performance. The next important point is creating innovation pipeline and pathways for entrepreneur at institute level. We have an idea, we are working on an idea, and we now want to create this innovation, and we want to convert this to a product. Then what kind of pipelines and what kind of guidelines are given by Ministry of Human Resource and Development? So to ensure exposure of maximum students to innovation and pre-incubation activities at their early stage, and to support the pathway from the idealization to innovation to market, mechanism should be devised at institutional level. Spreading the awareness among the students, faculty, and staff about the value of entrepreneurship and its a role in the career development or employability should be a part of institutional entrepreneurial agenda. Like, as you are now listening to me, this is also one of the activity conducted by the Innovation Council, the Institute Innovation Council committee we had decided to give you a guidelines about this NISP. This is under this point only. So the students or staff should be taught that innovation is a mechanism to solve the problems of society and consumers. Entrepreneurs should innovate with focus on the market. So students should be encouraged to develop the entrepreneurial mindset through entrepreneurial learning by exposing them to training in cognitive skills, like, for example, design thinking, critical thinking, etc., by inviting the first generation local entrepreneurs or expert to the address young minds. Initiatives like idea and innovation competitions, hackathons, workshops, seminars, conferences, exhibitions, mentoring by academics and industry personnel, throwing real life challenges, awards, and recognitions should be routinely organized. To prepare the students for creating the startup through the integration of education activities with enterprises related activities should be done. So we must be aware with what kind of work is now going on in the various industries. So we need to first do a market survey, and then according to, we need to think about a product, and whatever idea you have in your mind for that particular idea, to convert that idea into startup, you need to first focus on you need to first do a market survey. So the institute should link their startups and companies with wider entrepreneurial ecosystem, and by providing the support to the students who show potential in pre-startup phase. So connecting the students, entrepreneurs with the real life entrepreneurs will help the students in understanding the real challenges which may be faced by them while going through the innovations funnel, and will increase the probability of success. So as I told you, that before converting your idea into a real product, you should first do a market survey, and you should first talk with the people who are already working in that zone and what kind of problems they are facing. That would help you to convert your idea into a product in a successive manner. So the institute should establish the Institution Innovation Council as per the guidelines of MHRD, innovation cells, and allocate the appropriate budget for its activities. Okay, so we already have the Institute Innovation Council at YCC. So you are already having this facility available for nurturing your startups at YCC only. So ICC's institute should guide the institutions in conducting the various activities related to innovation, startups, and entrepreneurship development. Collective and concentrated efforts should be undertaken to identify knowledge, support, and reward proven students' idea and innovations, and to further facilitate their entrepreneurial journey. For strengthening the innovation funnel or the institute, access to financing must be open for the potential entrepreneurs. So for converting every idea into a product, we need a fund. So for that, networking events must be organized to create a platform for budding entrepreneurs to meet the investors and pitch their ideas. Provide the business incubation facilities. So the premises at subsidized cost, laboratories, research facilities, IT services, training, mentoring, etc. should be accessible to the new startups. A culture needs to be promoted to understand that money is not free and is a risk capital. So the entrepreneur must realize these funds and returns. While funding is taking on the entrepreneur, it is an obligation of an entrepreneur to make every effort possible to prove that the funding agency did right in funding him or her. So the institute must develop a ready reckoner of innovation toolkit, which must be kept on the homepage on the institute's website to answer the doubts and queries on the innovators and enlisting the facilities available at the institutes. The next important point is norms for faculty startups. Suppose the faculty would like to have their own startups, then what kind of norms they have already given. So for better coordination or the entrepreneurial activities, norms for faculty to do startups should be created by the institutes. Only those technologies should be taken for faculty startups which originate from within the same institute. The role of the faculty may vary from being an owner, direct promoter, mentor, consultant, or as on-board member of the startup. Institute should work on developing a policy on a conflict of interest to ensure that the regular duties of the faculty don't suffer owing his or her involvement in the startup activities. So the faculty startup may consist of faculty members alone or with students or with faculty of other institutes or with alumni or with other entrepreneurs also. So if some faculty would like to start their startups, they can take a help or they can take a member as other faculty from the same institute. They can take the faculty of other institutes. Even they can take their own students in a group to work on the same startups. So in case the faculty or stakeholders, the executives or managerial positions, a position for more than 3 months in a startup, they will go on sabbatical or leave. This point is already discussed. So the faculty must clearly separate and distinguish ongoing research at the institute from the work conducted at the startup companies. So in case of selection of the faculty startup by an outside nation or international accelerator, a maximum leave of 1 year, even more depending upon the decision of a review committee consumed by the institute, may be permitted for the faculty, may be permitted to the faculty. So the faculty must not accept the gift from the startups. Faculty must not involve research of staff or other staff of the institute in the activities at the startup and vice versa. and human subject related research in startup should get clearance from the ethics committee of the institute. So the next important point is pedagogy and learning interventions of entrepreneurship development. I hope that you are understanding what we are dealing with and what we are learning in this NISP policies. All of you are requested to, after this session, kindly fill the feedback form. Or even for you, I can paste the link of the feedback form here also. It is already posted by Dr. Sandeep Kherkar sir. So all the participants after this session, kindly fill this. Okay, so let's move on. Next is pedagogy and learning interventions for entrepreneurship development. Diversified approach should be adopted to produce desirable learning outcomes, which should include cross-disciplinary learning using mentors, labs, case studies, games, etc. in the place of traditional lecture-based delivery. So we can have the various case studies, we can have the various kinds of mentor-based mentoring activities, competitions we can conduct. Then students clubs, bodies or department must be created for organizing competitions, boot camps. We have at YCC, we have all the technical events in each department. So they will definitely boost the innovative or they can nurture the innovation in the amongst the students. So these bodies should be involved in the institutional strategy planning to ensure the enhancement of students thinking and responsibility responding ability. So institute should start annual innovation and entrepreneurship award to recognize outstanding ideas, successful enterprises, and contributors for promoting innovation and enterprises ecosystem within the institute. So this is very good point given for the institute to start the annual innovation and entrepreneurship award system. So for creating awareness amongst the students, the teaching methods should include case studies on the business failure and real-time experience report by the startups. Tolerating and encouraging the failures. Suppose you are working on any of the idea, but your idea is not working. So in what way the institute should take it? So our system are not designed for tolerating and encouraging the failures. So failures need to be elaborately discussed and debated to imbibe that failure is a part of the life. Thus, helping in reducing the social stigma associated with it. So very importantly, this should be a part of institute's philosophy and culture. Innovation competition champions. Innovation champions should be nominated from within the students, staff, or faculty for each department stream or the stream of the study. So entrepreneurship educations should be imparted to students at curricular, co-curricular, extracurricular level through elective, short-term or long-term courses on innovation, entrepreneurship, and venture department. Validated learning outcomes should be made available to the students. So in the beginning of every academic sessions, these are again the guidelines given for the institute in what way they can nurture this innovation into their students. So in the beginning of every academic session, institute should conduct an induction program about the importance of TNA so that the freshly inducted students can made aware about the entrepreneurial agenda of the institute and available support system. Curriculum for the entrepreneurship education should be continuously updated based on entrepreneurship research outcomes. This should also include the case studies on failures. So, sensitization of the students should be done for their understanding on expected learning outcomes. Students, innovators, startups, experts must be engaged in the dialogue process while developing the strategy so that it becomes need-based. Customized teaching and training material should be developed for the startups. It must be noted that not everyone can become an entrepreneur. So entrepreneur is a leader who would convert an innovation successfully into the product. Others may join the leader and work for the startup. It is important to understand that entrepreneurship is about risk taking. One must carefully evaluate whether the student is capable and willing to take the risk. So pedagogical changes need to be done to ensure that maximum number of students, projects, and innovations are based around real life challenges. Learning in interventions developed by the institutes for inculcating entrepreneurial culture should be constantly reviewed and updated. So this is the second last point I'm going to discuss, that is collaboration, co-creation, business relationship, and knowledge exchange. So we know that stakeholder engagement should be given on a prime importance in the entrepreneurial agenda of the institute. Institutes should find potential partners, resource organizations, micro or small and medium-sized enterprises, social enterprises, schools, alumni, professional bodies, and entrepreneurs to support the entrepreneurship and co-design the program. So like we always take the feedback from the alumni to make our system more effective. So to encourage the co-creation, bi-directional flow, exchange of knowledge, and the people should be ensured between the institutes such as incubators, science parks, etc. Institutes should organize networking events for better engagement of collaborators and should open up the opportunities for the staff, faculty, and students to allow constant flow of ideas and knowledge through meetings, workshops, space for collaboration, lectures, etc. Mechanisms should be developed by the institute to capitalize on the knowledge gained through these collaborations, and care must be taken to ensure that events don't become an end goal. First focus of the incubator should be to create successful ventures. The institute should develop policy and guidelines for forming and managing the relationship with external stakeholders, including the private industries. Knowledge exchange through collaboration and partnership should be made as a part of institutional policy, and institute must provide the support mechanism and guidance for creating, managing, and coordinating these relationships. Through formal and informal mechanisms such as internships, now we know that the complete 8-semester students are going for internships. So this is one of the very important activity which can inculcate again the ongoing work which is going inside the industry to make these things aware by our current students. So by such activities like internships, teaching, and research exchange programs, clubs, social gathering, etc., the faculty, staff, and students of the institute should be given the opportunities to connect with their external environment. Connect of the institute with the external environment must be in the form of absorbing information and experience from the external ecosystem into the institute's environment. Single point of contact mechanism should be created in the institute for the students, faculty, collaborator, partners, and other stakeholders to ensure the access to the information. That there must be one platform created for everyone so that they will get the knowledge of these things at one place. So knowledge management should be done by the institute through development of innovation knowledge platform using in-house information and communicating technology capabilities. The last important point is the entrepreneurial impact assessment. Impact assessment of the institute's entrepreneurial activities such as pre-incubation, incubation, entrepreneurship education should be performed regularly using well-defined evaluation parameters. Monitoring and evaluating the knowledge exchange initiatives, engagement of all the departments and faculty in the entrepreneurial teaching and learning should be assessed. Number of startups created, support system provided at the institutional level, and the satisfaction of the participants, new business relationship created by the institutes should be recorded and used for impact assessment. Impact should also be measured for the support system provided by the institute to the students, entrepreneurs, faculty and staff for pre-incubation, incubation, IPR protection, industry linkages, exposure to an entrepreneurial ecosystem, etc. So the formulation of strategy and impact assessment should go hand in hand. The information on impact of activities, what kind of impact we have after conducting this activity, this should be actively used while developing and reviewing the entrepreneurial strategies. So the impact assessment for measuring the success should be in terms of sustainable social, financial, and technological impact in the market. For innovation in pre-commercial stage, development of sustainable enterprise models, model critical. Commercial success is the only measure in long term. Even we have an idea and we want to convert that idea into a product, even if we have a patent granted on the idea, but if it is not been converted into a commercial product, this would not give us a success. So with this, thank you so much for attending this session, and I hope whatever the guidelines given by the Ministry of Human Resource and Development under this National Innovation and Startup Policies, I have given an idea about the various policies created for the students, for the staff, for the faculty, for the research scholars, and for the person who are working on any of the project, who are even out of the institute, can have and can avail such facilities by following these guidelines. So these were the guidelines given for the institutes also to nurture the culture of creating the startups facilities in the institutes. I hope whatever points I had taken from these policies and discussed with you is clear to everyone. And this is my humble request once again to please fill the feedback form after this session. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and giving your valuable time for attending this session. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, madam. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So really a very brief kind of detailed information already given by the madam. And NISP is readily available. You can download, you can refer, but the concise information and which is already discussed and shared with all participants by Dr. Shilpa Kamble Madam. I just want to add a few points here where at YCC we are continuously striving to develop the innovation and startup ecosystem. We have taken some initiatives like if you want to file a patent, so the financial support support will be provided by the institute. We are having a structured IPR policy. We are having a seed fund support policy for new startups. You can come with an idea to the innovation and incubation cell. We are having a technology business incubator at the admin block. So you can come with your idea, you can nurture your idea, you can file your patent, and you can start your own business. So this is that we are expecting this kind of conducive environment for the innovation development we are trying to develop in YCC. So the activity is one of the part where we are trying to make the awareness about the National Innovation and Startup Policy, by which student and faculty get motivated. They can know about the kind of facility, the kind of benefits that they can achieve. I believe that time is a very important factor where like we are doing a graduation, you are doing a graduation, and definitely after this graduation, you are not going to continue some graduation in another field. So it will be a lifetime opportunity where you can get these all facilities. By using these facilities, you can develop your own innovation, and you can register your patent. So definitely at the completion of graduation, you will have your own patent. So lot of like initiatives you can see on the website. There is a tab innovation and incubation. Under that tab we already mentioned the kind of initiatives that we have taken and the kind of is giving a very nice session delivery on national innovation and startup policy. I'm really thankful to Dr. Kamble for sharing his valuable time and giving a proper justice to the topic during the orientation session. Also thankful to the IISc members. The event is conducted by the Institute Innovation Council. So I really thankful to all the members, principal YCC, management for their kind support and motivation which we received in all events. So also thankful to the department head of the department, all the head of the departments, those who are continuously giving support in the IISc activities. So once again, I request all the participants before leaving the meeting, you please give your sincere feedback. Already link is shared in the chat box. By using a link, you require only 5 minutes for giving the feedback. Please give the feedback so that we came to know about the activity, and we will definitely arrange similar kind of activity in future. So with this, I'm going to end this session right now. So thank you very much. Thanks to all participants for participation in this event. Thank you very much.